Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar. How y'all doing today? We gotta talk about a video game strike, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you've been following the SAG-AFTRA video game strike, basically effective July 26th at 12:01 a.m., I believe Pacific Standard Time, then you might understand, whoa, Muda, is our video game industry gonna be more delayed than ever? Now, to give an idea, video games cost a lot of money to make. Video games, as they are developed, take a lot of time to be produced, okay? Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 is a game that I am obviously, like many people, excited for. And Grand Theft Auto 6 has not come out a year or two after Grand Theft Auto 5. No, it has come out basically a decade after. Yes, there are entire presidential cycles, world events, that are now happening between a release of a mainstream video game title, okay? Now, obviously, it takes a lot of time because developing a video game involves a serious amount of resources, technical chops, and some advancements that are industry-shattering, at least in GTA's case, where it does take a lot of time to come out. Now, obviously, I decided to look through SAG-AFTRA and just make sure if Grand Theft Auto 5 or 6 is not delayed any more than it probably already is supposed to be. And according to the SAG-AFTRA people, it is not, okay? That does not mean that games from Activision, like the next Call of Duty or anything else, or maybe Assassin's Creed, or really any other AAA stuff that gets thrown out with professional SAG-AFTRA actors or personnel, isn't actually, delayed or whatever, okay? Strikes cause delays. That's just the matter of the situation. The point of it is to obviously stop the entire process until demands are met for the workers, okay? Now, regardless of whatever your opinion are on unions, I personally think having somebody that can negotiate better deals and somebody that can negotiate better conditions is ultimately a good. If I have to wait an extra few months or maybe a year for a game to come out if the person who is working on that game isn't actually working like a fucking slave laborer, then I really don't personally mind, okay? But what is the argument about it today, okay? Well, according to the guys over at SAG-AFTRA, this is about artificial intelligence. And I feel like we've talked, basically a lot about AI and shit, but it is, without a doubt, one of the biggest issues right now in media. So according to these guys, basically say AI protections are the sticking point. So effectively, what they've said is any game looking to employ SAG-AFTRA talent to perform covered work must sign on the new tiered budget independent interactive media agreement, the interim interactive media agreement, or the interim interactive localization agreements. And these agreements offer critical AI protections for members. So what they said was negotiations actually began all the way back in October 2022 and September 24, 2023. And while SAG-AFTRA members approved a video game strike with a 98.32% yes vote, although agreements have been reached on many issues important to their members, the employers refused to plainly affirm in clear and enforceable language that they will protect all performers covered by this contract in their AI language. So right over here, what they've said is we're not going to consent to a contract that allows companies to abuse AI to the detriment of our members. Enough is enough. When these companies get serious about offering an agreement our members can live and work with, we will be here ready to negotiate. Now, obviously, this doesn't really matter so much for an actor that is making really good money, like an outlier in this space. This is more to protect somebody that is a standardized voice actor that, obviously is going, I wouldn't say so much from paycheck to paycheck, but their salary is, pretty standard. Like you're talking about somebody that's making $60,000, $70,000 a year or something of that nature. I don't know so much about voice actor salaries. I'm just saying a salary where obviously, they're living off of, right? They're not exactly driving the fancy, Bentleys or living in the big mansion or anything of that nature. This is somebody that obviously is just a working Joe. They voice act for a living and they just want to get fair compensation, which obviously is what these organizations are built for. Now, I find this a little bit weird because I do distinctly remember earlier this year coming across this mention from SAG-AFTRA where they were like, apparently SAG-AFTRA and Replica Studios introduced groundbreaking AI voice agreement, okay? So immediately I'm looking at this and I think, what? The new agreement paves the way for professional voiceover artists to safely explore new employment opportunities for their digital voice replicas with industry-leading protections. So immediately when I read this too, I think, did the voice actors even really agree to this stuff? And it seems like they might not have, okay? Because honestly, some of the people in this space were like, they don't remember voting on it. And even if you read this, like, actual post they made on their social media, they were getting straight up roasted because it really felt like back then they threw their voice actor fucking part of their guild under the bus, okay? So at the end of the day, look, I think for a lot of people who are in the creative space, they absolutely do not want any form of artificial intelligence. And just to show you how fucked this industry is right now, we are one lawsuit away from the entire industry, at least in like artificial intelligence, crashing, right? Like if you look at, this is just a taste of cases. You've got Alter versus OpenAI, okay? What started as 3 separate cases brought by 3 different author groups has been consolidated into one action against OpenAI and Microsoft, okay? What they said was they were alleging that Microsoft and OpenAI were liable for copyright infringement arising from the use of plaintiffs' works to train the AI models, right? And then, of course, you've got Anderson versus Stability AI, which are visual artists, filed this class action alleging direct and induced copyright infringement, DMCA violations, false endorsement, and trade dress claims based on the creation and functionality of Stable AI Stable Diffusion. And news publications like New York Times versus Microsoft, where the New York Times basically alleged that millions of its copyrighted works were used to create LLMs, large language models, of Microsoft's Copilot and OpenAI's ChatGPT, which basically these AI tools generate verbatim New York Times content, closely summarize it, mimic its expressive style, and falsely attribute outputs to the New York Times. So it's to a point where the AI is so good at mimicking them that sometimes misinformation gets spread that it might be the New York Times stating something when it really isn't. And if you think Microsoft is the only one immune to it, remember, NVIDIA is an artificial intelligence corporation as well. Even Nazemian and Dubus versus NVIDIA Corporation, where 2 groups of authors basically filed related class action complaints against NVIDIA, alleging that NVIDIA copied the authors' copyrighted books without their permission to train its agreements, its actual LLM, and allege that whenever an LLM generates text output in response to a user prompt, it is performing a computation with the goal of imitating the protected expression ingested from the training dataset. Now, I want to preface this all by saying that I'm a huge fan of technology, okay? I love, technology. I love, advancements and whatnot. Person like me should probably be like, artificial intelligence is super cool. We're able to do some really cool things with AI these days. For anybody that doesn't know, NVIDIA, speak of the devil here, created what is known as the RTX Remix, which literally allows you to play older, PC games, but, re-updated through the use of artificial intelligence, right? Where you can have things like path tracing renderers and AI upgraded textures. So games like Need for Speed Underground 2 actually look like they're running on modern rendering engines, all through the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and of course the brilliant minds over at NVIDIA. You've got a lot of mods that come out where, basically the modding community has taken famous voice actors and used artificial intelligence to effectively create, full-on single-player DLC expansions. And sure, that is obviously something that I guess it would really matter to the consent of what artist approved to how much of their AI synthetic voice should be used, right? But that's really where we're kind of sitting at. We're at a point where there are entire Grand Theft Auto fan games like Grand Theft Auto Sindako Chronicles, like a PSP full like a update, like a full DLC sized expansion that uses artificial intelligence generated voices. So we're at a point where obviously if you're in this business, a lot of the fan games are using your material. How long is it until big companies like Take-Two, like Activision, decide, yeah, we could probably save a lot of money if instead of hiring a voice actor, we just start using synthetic voices? So let's just say, for example, you're playing something like Grand Theft Auto 5, right? There is no shot, in my opinion, that the main characters or the supporting cast, or really anybody that's on camera in that game, is going to be replaced with AI anytime soon. Artificial intelligence doesn't capture the expressive motions and cadences that human voices have, right? However, imagine if you're just walking through the streets of Vice City or Leonida at some point in the future, right? And if Microsoft, if Take-Two was using AI, you know, I would imagine that gaming companies would probably use AI voices on like a passing by NPC. Somebody that you don't listen to, obviously. They're just there in the background. You like subconsciously pick up what they're saying. Obviously, for artificial intelligence, being of slightly lower quality, or yeah, just straight up lower quality, wouldn't really matter in that space. Now, would it? Imagine if you're a company like Activision and instead of paying for a video game worker or somebody to actually generate a 3D asset, which I don't believe SAG-AFTRA even covers in this situation. So if you're somebody working in like the creative space, making assets or 3D models, you might end up being replaced by Activision at some point. They might be able to generate gun skins for Call of Duty, where they can generate these skins, and instead of even paying an artist to create that skin, they can just shit these out at a higher volume per season. And obviously, people will buy them. Have you seen the amount of people purchasing skins in a video game online? It is insanity. One of the things that makes me wonder if this is even going to like play in the favor of these union strikers, because at the end of the day, right, like this is just one test footage that you can see from Ubisoft where they're actually showing one of their new chat AI based NPCs. So in this test room, they've got an NPC where you can interact with them, and I'm sure this is using some chat GPT-like backend. So as of right now, it would probably work for like an MMO or an internet-connected video game, but I have no doubt that, you know, a company like Ubisoft might try to find a way to get this running in a local model on a PlayStation or an Xbox or locally on your PC, just so you can expand the, intricacies and detail of AI NPCs just in a game like Assassin's Creed. Like imagine walking into, any town in the game and just talking to any NPC and using it to gain insight or an understanding of what's going on in that city, where your target could be, so on and so forth. I think this could be interesting from a gameplay perspective, but obviously it's going to require the use of artificial intelligence and potentially synthetic voices. So this one innovative gameplay advancement that companies want to kind of push in might probably never make it to the light of day if these kind of unions pass. And look, at the end of the day, look, if whatever your field is against artificial intelligence and whatnot, this is something that these companies ultimately want to bring in. So I don't know, with all of the millions of dollars already spent, are these companies going to dig their heels in the ground and produce these video games, or are they actually going to stifle this and, basically keep the entire world open for voiceover artists, right? It's a very touchy situation to be getting into. But yeah, this is just one of the innovations that I'm sure with the amount of money put into it, there's no doubt in my mind that a company like Ubisoft would want to bring this at some point down the road. I have no doubt that companies like Rockstar Game or Take-Two or, Activision, for instance, don't want to bring any of these features to video games coming forward, okay? Imagine something like the Nemesis system with its permutations assisted with generative artificial intelligence if Warner Brothers ever wanted to get off their ass and provide that feature for another video game and whatnot, considering I believe they're still sitting on the patent. But yeah, this is some interesting stuff, and obviously this is all going to be affected by this video game strike. It's not just delays, it's actual technological innovations, regardless of how you feel in the space. So yeah, this is just one of the few situations that I've sort of seen come out of this video game strike where, it exists. Obviously, there are better conditions being sought after. But I think we're at a very pivotal moment where if you're in this industry, you're very much scared of how long of a time you have before some of the biggest players in the game are actually using synthetic voices. Now, do I think legally this is going to stick? Those lawsuits that I showed you, if just one of those goes the wrong way for these AI companies, I really feel that there is a domino effect where it can just blanket the entire industry into actually going into the fucking dark ages. And it is what it is, man. Like, if you're in this space and you are somebody that, your voice is out there, you want to actually be working in this business, there's a good chance that these companies are going to fight you tooth and nail to save a dime, all right? Maybe the only option is AI exists, but you're paid like a per word fee or something if your voice is proven to be used. I don't even know how that's going to be enforced. But what I do know is this is a strike that's going to last a fair bit. And I'm interested to see if, the actual performers win, or if it's going to be one of those situations where the AAA gaming industry is so fucking large, and also so bloated that they're going to fight tooth and nail to reduce those budgets, to reduce the cost of developing these games, even at the expense of the paychecks of some of the people that honestly aren't even living large. They're just in this business and basically skating by. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.